o'clock, so let's call the meeting to order.
Please rise for the salute of the flag. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. When your name is called, please identify your attendance. Christine Patterson.
Here.
Diana Miller.
Here.
Amy McSweeney.
Here.
Susan Lorcella.
Here.
Sharon Falkowitz.
Here.
Chad Henderson. Chad's not here, sorry.
Chad's out tonight.
Thank you. On behalf of management, Corey Harris and Michael Canberg are in attendance. Thank you.
May I have a motion to accept the open meeting minutes of September 17th?
I make a motion to accept the minutes of September 17th.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, well, first, welcome everybody. Glad to see you here tonight. What a nice day we had today. You know, I'd like to start with just 1 minute to give some acknowledgement to some of our residents and friends who have homes in Florida, some of whom may already be down there. You know, seriously, our thoughts and prayers are really with them. They're facing a tremendous catastrophe down there, so keep them in your thoughts. It's, you know, and if there's anything we can do, you know, we'll take a collection and do something. We'll have to think about that. So, for starters, we've got a few things going on here that are relatively new that I'd like to talk about. One is football Sundays. I don't know if anybody who's here now has come for the games that we're showing on Sundays, but Sharon has.
What a great bunch of guys.
So, yeah, Sundays in meeting rooms 2 and 3, you know, you can get together, bring some snacks, hang out with people and watch football. It's more fun than watching football by yourself, you know. I mean, I'm going to watch football no matter what happens, but last Sunday was great, 9:30 in the morning until 11:30 at night, straight out football. It's hard to get better than that.
We had about 15, 20 people here at 9:30 in the morning. Nice.
Great. Yeah, great, to watch the Jets lose, yippee. We have, at some requests, put a coffee maker or Keurig in the party room. So, you know, when people are playing there, they can bring their own supplies, and there's a maker there that they can make coffee with. You know, we're not stocking with supplies, but there is a coffee maker there for you, so you can bring pods and, you know, whatever supplies. Just please be sure that whatever cups you bring with you have covers on them. We can't have uncovered liquids in the clubhouse. We also have heard the requests that people have made. We have renewed our movie license. We will be starting to play movies again on the weekends in the clubhouse. Alice has met with John, and he's got a whole list of movies that the residents have come together and requested. So we'll be sure that we're paying attention to what the residents would like to see when it comes to our weekend movies. We also have approved, the board has approved, the ability of people who are buying tickets to our events to purchase a ticket for their guests at the same time as they purchase their own. There have been some concerns in the past because resident tickets go on sale, but then the guest tickets aren't available till a few days later, and you know, you have a friend coming or whatever, so you can now buy ticket for yourself and your guest at the same time. I also wanted to point out the schedule now that we have for barcodes and ID cards for new residents. Barcodes are available on weekends. They had not been in the past, but they are now. Just make an appointment. And ID cards during the week still, but early evenings. If you're working and you need to get your ID card, you get home at 5:30, 6 o'clock, you make an appointment and we'll arrange for you to be able to come in and get your ID card. We're making some real progress we've caught up pretty much on orientations for new Homeowners. So that's been moving along much more smoothly. We have more board members who are doing the orientations now. I want to talk a little bit about our elections that are in progress. The election is still open for the vote on the capital contribution increase from 8 months to 9 months. If anyone has not yet voted, please get that vote in. It's very important that we hit the quorum that's necessary. There's a minimum number of votes that have to be cast before the vote can be valid. And it will make a big difference to us in terms of helping us to increase the capital reserve fund. It will cost current homeowners nothing. It's only new purchasers who will be paying the additional month of capital contributions at closing. If you've already closed on your house, you're done with that. So if you haven't submitted your ballot, please get it in. We will have ballots going out later this week to replace the open board position. So you should be seeing those hit your mailboxes over the next few days. You can vote by mail, you can vote online. There'll be an in-person ability to vote, so vote, it's important. The only other thing that's left really for me is the budget. We are entering budget season. We're starting to work diligently on putting together a budget for next year. We know, of course, that everyone is concerned about the budget, about the association fees, you know, all of that. So are we. We'll pay them too. So keep in mind that we're no more interested in hiking our own fees more than is necessary than we are in anybody else's. So we will be looking at everything, and I mean everything. We're going to tear through that budget like crazy. We have a budget meeting coming up, and Mike has been working really hard on pulling numbers for us. So that's coming in the next month or two. We'll be getting the budget done. With that, I'd like to turn over to Diana for financials.
Maybe it'll reach. Good evening, everybody. Our August 31st financials, we were budgeted to have a $51,000 surplus of revenue over expenses. As of August 31st, we actually have a $99,000 surplus. So we're heading in the right direction. Our total operating cash is at $661,000. Our discretionary cash is at $313,000. And our total reserve cash is at $2.6 million, for a total of $3.6 million in cash. Our accounts receivable over 90 days is at $118,000. We also recorded 11 resales in August, which would have put more money into our capital reserves had our change gone through a couple of months ago. So let's hope we get it this time. Doing some housekeeping, we had a few questions that came up last month regarding some budgeted items. It was pointed out our management services is up $72,000 over budget. The difference in that is in payroll. We had a few employees move off of the HOA payroll and onto First Services payroll. So where our management services fee has gone up $72,000, our clubhouse payroll is down $53,000, and our maintenance payroll is down $38,000. So we actually have a net difference of $19,000 in our favor. The other question that was asked was our clubhouse operating. It's down $113,000 over budget. Well, $53,000 of that is payroll, which I just explained. The other thing that I noticed a big drop in is our electric bills have been down. I don't know why, but let's just take what we get. The third one I was asked about were our general expenses being up $86,000. $40,000 of that is legal expense. However, we have picked up over $24,000 of that in income. So the residents that we had to pay legal fees for to collect HOA fees from, they in turn have to pay those legal fees. And so far this year, we've collected 24 of the 40,000 that we've spent, and we will collect that additional 26,000. The other expense that is up is our computer and software expense. Part of that is due to some software expense, or hardware I believe it was, that was budgeted for last year, but it was not completed until this year. So although we didn't spend it this year, we did not budget, last year we did not budget again for it this year. So that has caused that increase. The other thing I want to share with you is we just purchased 2 more CDs, or invested in 2 more CDs. We had 2, now we have 2 more. We did a 12-month at a 4.05 interest rate, which is very good considering the interest rates just dropped, and they're expected to drop again sometime in November or December. And we did a second one at a 4.1 interest rate. The other 2 CDs that we have will be maturing in December and in March. That's all I have now. Thank you.
Thanks, Diana. Mike?
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to just share a couple of updates since our last meeting. Couple of high-level items. I'll start with the ongoing process of roof replacement in the community. There are 63 structures that have had a full roof replacement that is completed. There are 21 remaining that are approved for the calendar year of '24, which will bring the total of 84 structures. Now, it's not individual units. Some structures are single unit, 2 units, 4 units, some cases 5 units, and in some cases 8 units. We deal with the structure, not a unit count. So when you hear me say we've replaced 63 roofs to date, that's a building's roof, not necessarily a unit. So the unit count is actually much higher, but I did think that was worth noting. 84 for 2024 is the goal. Last year we did 74. That will bring our 2-year combined number to 158 roofs completed in 2 calendar years. It's important to think about this from a long-term perspective because the HOA is responsible for all 924 structures and their roofs. For us to have a reasonable and economically viable plan, the goal would be to replace about 46 roofs per year. That gives you a 20-year conversion rate. The roofs will last longer than 20 years, but we'd like to be able to get to that guidance, which allows us to replace about 46 roofs per year. So in doing 158 in 2 years is the equivalent of 3.5 calendar years of roofs that we've done. We're catching up dramatically. I see this continuing for another year or 2, and then it could potentially reduce some of that impact. Roofs are a very big part of what monies are spent from the reserve account. The next item I'll talk about is landscaping. There's a number of projects that have been either ongoing or recently completed or soon to start. So the first is shrub removal. There was a long pent-up demand to clear a backlog of shrub removal work order requests. The backlog is what was put out to bid and is nearing completion. We think by the end of this week. There may still be some work orders that from this current year where those came in. If we have the budget and certainly the availability to do so, we will include them in with this project. But the idea was, again, to clear the backlog. Irrigation repairs. As I had mentioned at the last meeting, the board had instructed management to proceed and authorize certain repairs for 2 reasons. One is to make sure that the system is whole and functioning as best it can, because we have soil and seed ongoing. And the other is we want to have a successful winterization of the system. We cannot winterize it adequately if portions of it are disabled. There's no way to reliably secure that the system would be starting in the spring with any degree of effectiveness. So the repairs are ongoing and I think wrapped up, but certainly by the end of this week they will be. As I mentioned, soil and seed. So there are 5 sections in the community. This is broken into thirds. So there are about 5 sections getting soil and seed this year. There was 4 or 5 that got it last year. And then next year will be the remainder of the sections. And by the end of calendar '25, all of the soil and seeding will be done, and we'll start that process back over again for the 4th year. Tree pruning, we're in the final stages of the bid gathering. I'll have that in front of the board for approval at our next workshop. And that project should go on from the very end of October and take place into the middle of November. You wait till this time of year when the trees start to go dormant to do your regenerative pruning. So we are right on schedule and in line with best practice. And then there'll be another batch of tree removals. So anybody who has a dead tree that's still wondering when the heck's this thing going to be out of here, we're coming. We didn't forget you, and we're still wrapping up the tree removal, certainly for what we have for 2024. The other big item I want to bring up is the HVAC for this particular building. We're in now the clubhouse. So we were on schedule for the week of the 28th. I got an update today from the contractor that looks like that's been bumped 1 week to the 4th. But I'll explain what happens. Excuse me. So on or about the 4th or that week, a bunch of contractors will show up here, engineers, and some equipment will be delivered. A large crane will lift off the old equipment from the roof, lift the new equipment into place. Simultaneously, the technicians will run new piping and electrical connections, and all of that happens in one very big, long, well-orchestrated day. That will involve an impact to the surrounding area around the clubhouse and certainly impact the indoor pool. While that's going on, another crew of technicians will be inside the indoor pool room removing all of the old ductwork, as I had mentioned at the last meeting, and then they'll begin the installation of the new ductwork. This is approximately a 10 to 14 working day process. The indoor pool will be closed during this period, but will certainly provide adequate notice to everyone. But for anyone who's heard that the pool's closing in October, that is not true. We had a minor pump issue last week, which was resolved within a day. But aside from that, the pool is scheduled to be open and stay open. In fact, the pool vendor will bump their to closing. They usually will close the 2nd and 4th Monday of the month for scheduled cleaning. We're going to suspend those days knowing that we're closing the pool shortly thereafter, and we'll focus on the cleaning once the work is done. So the pool will be open throughout October, including the 2 extra days and 8 Mondays. Upon completion of the installation of the ductwork, the system will be fully fired, and it will be creating very dry and climate-controlled air for the indoor pool room. That will pour over into part of the fitness center, certainly the hallway in and around the locker rooms. The entire air quality on that far end of the clubhouse from where we're sitting now, will certainly be improved. The other noteworthy portion of the project is out this back door right here, where there's a unit that's been dead on the roof for some time. It only provides air conditioning, no heating. That unit's also being replaced and relocated to the ground right outside, adjacent to the clubhouse, so we can actually solve the water issue, because there's been a perennial leak. I think for the last 10 or so years, that area has leaked and is not serviceable based on the placement of the unit and just the inaccessible portions of the flat roof area on either side of it. It's just an engineering mess, unfortunately, so we are re-engineering the solution, bringing the unit off the roof so it no longer creates a load on the roof, no longer creates a water infiltration point, but then the drop ceiling in there will be opened up. We'll get a microbial solution that's sprayed in there to kind of create an antiseptic and clean environment for the framing. Simultaneously, they'll have this all reducted to work off the new unit, and we will have functional heat for the first time in I don't know how long in this area. Right now, what you have is electric baseboard heating, very, very costly for the purposes of heating space. So the forced hot air unit will be much more efficient and create a much more comfortable climate. We're excited for these changes. They're long overdue. Certainly the dehumidification unit for the indoor pool will be a dramatic change. For anyone who's been skeptical about trying the indoor pool. Once it's done, I suggest give it a shot for the day, see if you don't like how nice it feels in there. I'll probably be out there testing it once in a while, so please don't mind my hairy legs. I'll try and shave for you. The only other comment that I'll make is that we are in the process of continuing to address the work order load. It is a significant load of work orders. We receive between 250 to 300 work order requests every month. Not all of them are genuine or truly work order requests. Some of them, and when I say genuine, I don't mean to say people are putting them in falsely. What I mean to say is sometimes they're duplicates. So we may find 3 work order requests for the same address or the same issue being put in by different entities, which is why we really don't look for anybody to have you put in for your neighbors. But there are times when people will enter their own, contact the maintenance department, or contact the concierge, or contact myself, or Corey, and these different points of contact have been creating multiple work orders. That's a managing issue for me to sort out, but I do want you to know that we continue to address them. We are closing them at a rate of about 100 a month. So it's lopsided still. However, we do believe that there's areas of opportunity to improve this. One of the preliminary comments that has come up is our maintenance department adequately staffed for intake and for the administration? So we'll continue to look at that. We don't think that the solution is always to throw another body at it, but an effective use of resources. So maybe having some other staff from the office contribute to some of the administration may very well be what we'll do to help get caught up. But thank you for your continued patience. I know that it's frustrating for some of you, but those that do get a hold of me know that I am pretty genuine and honest in trying to take care of your situations and your solutions. Where we can provide them, we're happy to do so. That's it. I look forward to answering your questions in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Sue has a committee update for us.
Yes. On behalf of the Concordian, we're sponsoring a cookie walk, which will be in conjunction with our holiday and craft show that Amy will be talking about. We're looking for bakers. We need people to bake cookies. We have had a lot submit, but we need a lot more. You know, the goal is to have like several tables all loaded with cookies. And so people would walk along the table and fill a box, and all the proceeds go to Elijah's Promise, which is a wonderful charity. So Dan is chairing this, and if you want to reach out to him on his email address, I'm going to say this for the folks at home too. It's Dan, DANSONMAIN @AOL.com, and he'll be happy to give you any information you might need. And we also have there's little applications out in the lobby, so if you'd like to participate and donate a couple dozen cookies, we would be so grateful. So thank you very much.
So I'm sure you all know that on November 16th, or I hope you all know, we're having a Concordia Holiday Bazaar and Craft Fair. There are currently going to be at least 37 vendors. We have a variety of products being sold, everything from dollhouse miniatures to the best handcrafted jewelry you've ever seen, to artwork, paintings of all different kinds, clothing, just wreaths if you're into wreaths, and crochet items. A really good variety of products will be sold. We are asking if anybody else from Concordia wants a table. This is like the final push. After this week, I believe we're not going to be taking any more vendors. So if anybody wants to have a table, please let John Patterson know, and he'll be happy to set you up. Otherwise, please tell all your friends, your family, to come join us for the day and get a head start on your holiday shopping, and at the same time buy some cookies. So I hope to see you all there.
Sharon.
As usual, the Welcome Committee would like to invite everyone to Coffee and Conversation. The next one will be November 10th, Sunday at 12:30. Everyone is welcome. Please come. We'll sample the cookies. Of course, they're coming from the store, which we hope is not going to be what happens at our walk. But like I said, everybody is welcome.
Thanks, everybody. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second it.
All in favor?
I just want to say one more thing. I'd like to wish all the Jewish people and anybody else a very healthy and happy New Year.
Thank you. Okay, we can start with the resident Q&A. I would ask, please, if you have more than one question, out of courtesy to the people who are waiting behind you, ask your question, let the next people go, and then you can come back. Thank you.
John Watts, 6 James Buchanan Drive. So I want to compliment the board again on keeping a civil and productive conversation going at each of the meetings. It's very welcomed. I had 2 questions. I'm driving to Florida tonight, so I'm not going to stick around to recycle. Diana, you were nice enough to go through some of the questions that got asked last month about the financials. I didn't notice an answer to my question on where'd the $238,000 go. If you add up the 5 items that say how much money we have, it showed 3.5 million, but if you add those 5 items up, it came to 3.1, or 3.3, I'm sorry. It was off by 238,000. But there's a leak somewhere, because when you do this month's, it's a $270,000 gap. Who looks at, and maybe there's an offline item that kind of got referenced last month, but now I didn't expect an answer directly, but for the same thing to be there and for it to even be worse, and last month's P&L not getting adjusted on neighbor. So again, I'm not going to be in the area, but if it can get adjusted to what's appropriate, and again, I'm not looking for an individual answer, I think the community deserves one. If it can go on neighbor, because some people don't attend the meetings, some people don't watch it on 26. I won't be able to watch it on 26 next month or attend. So, and I won't be the first in line next month then. One comment, a number of people asked if I'd be willing to do the open seat, and there's another person that I spoke with that was interested in running, and so we decided not to split votes. And so I'd be interested if the board would have me, or if the community would have me in the spring when we do the next 2-year election. But I'm not sure where we stand on, you said ballots are going out, so I won't ask the question of how many people filled in by the deadline. But again, I'd love to get an answer. Should I wait for it, or should I look on neighbor?
No, I just wanted, because which numbers are you talking about that are off by 180? You said 100?
No, 230 something.
238 last month, 270 this month. There's 5, are there 5 categories of assets that equal our cash and investments?
Okay, I will look into them and get an answer. I'm going to have to go to our accounting department to drill down into those accounts. But I will have an answer.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Just as a quick follow-up to that, and thank you for your always well-articulated questions. Do you have access to email? I know you said you're heading to Florida, but you'll have access to email?
Yeah.
If it's okay, I want to follow up with an email to you, just so I can make sure I'll ask you to kind of recap your question in the email to me, so I can make sure I go to the accounting office. The goal is to create transparency, right? So we want to make sure you're getting the information you're asking for. I just want to make sure I get the right question so I can get you the right answer.
When Kathy's driving, I'll do the 5 numbers, what I come up with and what the total says.
Just where you're pulling it from, so I can
Yeah.
point to our counsel, explain.
It's the one that just came out like Wednesday or Friday. You know what, everybody should get a chance to hear the numbers. Sorry, I'm going to take a minute rather than doing it while.
You sure you want to drive to Florida?
Yeah, my 91-year-old dad, we're going to get there. They said be in place by noon, and we're going to get there by 9 a.m. So,
Safe travels.
Yeah,
thank you.
please be safe.
Okay, so the 5 numbers. Operating $1,980,000. Snow fund, I'll just add a comment, that's a joke, 18,000. Water and sewer, 6,900. Replacement fund, 942, which is down 280,000 from where we had been. And the discretionary, 393. I come up with $3,340,000-ish, and this is saying $3,616,000. Unless, again, I may be reading something wrong, so I appreciate
Okay.
you guys getting back to us. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you.
Good evening. Jack Steiner, 33B, John Paul Jones. I have a question about landscaping. I stepped out of my house the other day and walked past my walkway, and a golden arborvitae that I had put in the spring and had just fed was gone. I had not put a work order in. I had not done anything. I've been feeding most of all my own shrubs and taking care of them. And Ross Dubin's right here. Ross will tell you, you know, he comes out his door and looks at my house every day. And if I had a dead plant, he would have seen it. And I've been trying to contact Mike. I haven't gotten a response. I stopped at the concierge. I called Donna. Nobody said one word. And it's an $80 plant I just bought from A&T. And I don't understand it. My only thought that it possibly could have been was my neighbor at 31B got a removal. And maybe there was a confusion. They went to 33 first, yanked it out and then realized, but they took hers out. And hers was literally, was dead. Mine, not so. I mean, I'm not feeding dead plants. And I want to know if, what I can do to replace it.
So I'll jump in on this. So I am aware of this. I did reach out for the landscaper who's tasked with this. It's not the normal lawn care provider here. It's American Lawn and Sprinkler. FGM, Fullerton Grounds Maintenance, is the one that's doing the shrub removal. Of the couple hundred work orders, we had 3 locations where people are questioning whether a live shrub was removed. We're trying to identify that. They've got work orders for every single section, so I'm waiting for them to come back to me with the accounting of what happened. But I assure you they're a responsible party. If something was removed by mistake, they'll certainly make good on replacing
So there would
it.
have needed to been a work order for them to pull that. They weren't just
Correct.
walking around.
No, sir, they were not just wandering looking for shrubs to yank. No, sir. They were handed a rather large stack of work orders that was vetted by the Buildings and Grounds Committee 30 days prior to us going out with this project to make sure they were still all true. So we will get to the bottom of it, and like I said, they're a responsible entity. I do not foresee them thumbing their nose at Concordia for your shrub. I don't want to reduce the value of it. It's significant to you. We certainly don't want people to think that their living shrubs are going to be removed without care. So we're not looking to do that. We'll make sure that it gets addressed. I just need a response from them. Unfortunately, I don't have the information to provide you at this point. Donna should have conveyed that to you. Forgive me if she had not.
She just said, I don't know, I know nothing. So she schultzed it.
Got it.
So
I will be following up with you directly on this.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Priscilla Parmesan. This is Duke LeCompte. We live at 10B Franklin Pierce Drive for about 14 years. As a lot of these folks know, we take great delight and a little bit of pride in decorating our home for different holidays, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas. We did Halloween this year, and we also, in accordance with the laws of the land here, put out our Trump sign Saturday morning. When we left the house Saturday evening to go to our dinner before we came here to the show, we noticed that quite a bit of our decorations had been vandalized. Some of our landscaping lights were pulled out, the pumpkins were pulled out. We have a zombie on the wall was pulled down. My car was slightly vandalized. They had put their hand on the hood of my car and pulled back my side mirror. I spoke to a couple of the ladies on Saturday night, and they made the strong suggestion, and the right one, that I call the police and report this, which I did. The police came, they took a report. You know, needless to say, I'm sorry about this. I feel really bad about it. I hope that the fact that the Trump sign went out the same day was simply coincidental and not something that was done deliberately. I hope that our country is safer, our town, our community is safer, and that we're not going to be vandalized because of our political beliefs. That's it, folks. Thank you so much.
I'm so sorry that happened to you. That's horrible. Yeah, and I share your same hopes that this community can remember that we're all still neighbors here. Whatever our politics are, we are all still neighbors here. So everyone, please keep that in mind.
And to be very clear, vandalism is not tolerated, not in your lawn, not related to any political sign or affiliation, and the appropriate response is to report it. Management does not have much of a mechanism to enforce vandalism, but the law, local municipality does. And I'll echo the board members' comments. Tolerance, folks. You don't have to like your neighbor's political affiliation, but try and just like your neighbor. I mean, it's really that simple. Thank you. Good luck.
Hi, good evening. I'm speaking on behalf of my mother, Janet Baranowski, over on 27A Glastonbury. You guys probably know the whole deal about her situation with the balcony and the roofing, with the leaking. Just curious, I understand that the balcony is completely done now, but the railings have not been put up, and they're just trying to find out when this is going to be done. Do we have any ETAs on when it's going to be possibly completely finished?
I don't know definitively right here and now. Normally, I tell people, please hold that question for when I get off the stage, but I'll give you the answer right now. I'll check with the contractor and find out. They generally don't leave a project and move on to another project until it's complete. And in my opinion, railings being reaffixed is part of the process of completion.
Okay.
So I would imagine that is, unless it just needed time to cure because of the fiberglass membrane.
It's possible I
Yeah,
just
so
was
that
curious.
may very well be the case. That's why I don't want to jump to a conclusion, but I will absolutely get you an answer for tomorrow morning. Please don't go out on that balcony
Yeah,
until...
well, no, she's underneath. It's, the balcony's above her, but she's underneath.
I will get you a real-time update tomorrow morning on exactly where this project is with the contract.
Okay, also really quick, the issue when they were replacing the balcony, there ended up being another leak in her sunroom. Corey and the woman from security, great response. They were there within not even 5 minutes. Leaking completely from the hi-hats in the ceiling, water pouring down into the sunroom again. They said they'd be back to fix it. I didn't see a work order generated or anything. I just want to make sure that something is going to be done about this, because now this is the second leak in her unit.
I don't want you to broadcast your phone number, but would you be so kind as to come give it to me real quick so I can make sure I can get a hold of you tomorrow? Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Teichman, 9 John Adams Court. Mike, I was wondering if you heard from Candlewood Pools. I did speak to Steve there in the maintenance department, and he said he was sending you an estimate for the pool railing. Did you get it?
No, ma'am.
What?
No, ma'am.
No? I'll call them again.
Please do. I know who you're talking about. I know Steve. I know him, and he's the appropriate person that should be giving it to me.
I will call him again.
Please do.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Dawn Grasso, 59D Yorkshire.
Sorry, one more time, the address?
59D Yorkshire. We're new. Thank you. We're very happy to be here. So I have two quick questions. We have dogs, and everybody here has dogs, and we love that, and it's great, and everybody's wonderful. But as we're walking the dogs around the area, there's no trash receptacles. Would we consider putting or placing trash receptacles around? And I don't expect an answer now. And my second question is, my husband and I love your gym. We're there all the time, but carrying a card is annoying. We always have our phone. Is it possible to get like a QR scan or something that where you don't have to carry a card and then I have to go bother the concierge if I forget the card? And so it might just be a little bit easier.
So I'll take a swing at both. The first, I have been looking at pet stations. You're not the first to bring this up. And for those that don't, I'm an avid dog lover. I've got 3 at home. One for each kid, but separately. The idea, if you are a dog walker and a responsible one, you're picking up after your pet. Bravo, thank you. But it's kind of hard to keep walking, with your little bag of treat dangling. So the idea of having a pet station or a series of them, perhaps stationed along the walk, is something that we will bring to the board. It's something that we could easily work into our regular maintenance schedule. And the idea of them being used is wonderful, but the visual element also is a cue to anybody walking their dog that they should be curbing their dog. So it's also a passive reminder, exactly. So that's the first one. Second one, on the access cards, the system we have in place, also known as a Brivo system, B-R-I-V-O, in case that matters to anybody here who's into technology. They do have an added element. There's a cost attached to that, but we'd have to look and see what it would be to create that, where it's basically app-driven on your phone.
Right.
It's not exactly a QR code, but it's just an app that you would have in lieu of the card. There is a fee for that. I don't know what that is, and I don't know if it's something that, based on the scale of this community, I don't know if you can do it one-on-one individually, or if we have to purchase a suite of services through the app, or add the app to the let me find out.
Okay. And also the fee for the card, because you pay per card, so that might offset. That might be better. It might be more economical.
It might be. I've got some familiarity with the systems from other communities I've managed, more specifically in high-rise communities where the access controls are they're used to get in and out of garage structures, in and out of staircases in buildings, to create very secure environments. Those had monthly subscription-based fees. So it's more than just a one-time fee. The card's a one-time fee, but sometimes the app is a subscription-based.
We're not looking to add fees.
Well, I'm going to do the homework because it's all data-driven. It's not opinion-based, it's factual-based. I'll get the data, I'll get it in front of the board, and if there's an appetite and room in the budget certainly to consider it, then it'll be considered.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. And welcome to Concordia.
Paul Rosen, I'm sorry I got here late, but I had some grandparenting activities I had to do. Some of the questions that I'm asking them may have been covered during the financial report. The variances in the budget and actual. Okay, management services increased 7. The negative variance increased almost 8% between July and August.
You did miss my announcement earlier, but I will repeat it for you, Paul.
Okay.
You had 3 questions last month.
Right. The same 3 I would have tonight.
I was hoping that you were watching it on television. So, on management services, the $72,000 difference is in payroll. We had a few employees come off our HOA payroll and move to First Services. So our clubhouse payroll is down $53,000, and our maintenance payroll is down $38,000. That nets a difference to us in our favor for $19,000. The clubhouse operations that you asked about is down $113,000. $53,000 of that is the payroll savings. The other thing that's way down is our electric. Don't know why, but we don't look gift horse in the mouth. The last one you asked was general expenses. That's up $86,000. $40,000 of that is legal expense. However, we've already picked up $24,000 of that in income received. The $40,000 in legal expense is what we've paid going after those collections. And when we collect, they pay those legal fees. So we're getting that money back. The other thing that's up is computer expense, both hardware and software. Part of that is due to it was budgeted last year but not completed until this year. So we realized the expense this year, and we hadn't budgeted again for it.
On the cash and investments, how much is a CD right now?
That was the other thing I went over. We just purchased 2 additional CDs at $250,000 each. The other 2 that we already have were $100,000 each. One is up in December, the other in March.
Okay, because when going through the reports for July and August, adding up the operating fund money, the snow fund, water and sewer, replacement fund, and discretionary fund, the difference between that and what's showing in the cash and investments is $239,000. And when you do the same thing for August, the difference is $274,000. So I'm assuming that the CDs are not included on the financial report, but does that make up the $239,000 and the $274,000 difference?
I'm not going to make any assumptions, but I will look into it and
Okay.
get an answer.
Like I said, all you got to do is add those 5 figures.
Somebody else actually brought it up earlier tonight, too.
Okay. And then, do we have on our revenue a line item, resale income?
Yes.
Okay, because I saw an earlier report that the difference between what was shown on the FSR report and what showed in the monthly financial report that gets posted was the resale income. The resale income was not included in the report that got posted onto NABA. And I put in a request last Thursday to review the detailed line items. I have not heard anything on it yet, and per our contract with FSR, it's supposed to be a 48-hour turnaround.
Who did you put the
With me.
request?
Usual place at the clubhouse, at the
He
conference
submitted it
centers.
to us, but the request is, as he says, was to review line items, but it doesn't specify any one report, so I forwarded to
I said
Sam
July
Schneider,
and
the
August.
controller,
The report
and asked him
showed
which
July
report
and
can I
August.
provide that will fulfill this request. I don't, again, make assumptions either, because we receive a tremendous amount of financial data every month. So as soon as I get a response from Sam as to what report, the appropriate report would be to provide you with your request, I'll get it to you.
And that resale income, is that the income we get at a closing, condo cert and things like that that are noted in the contract?
You have revenue sharing on your condo certificate, your resale certificate information,
Right,
correct?
60/40, Association 60, FSR 40.
Right. That monies will be reflected in on your income side. I don't know that it would be on the resale funding. I believe that's the resale funding is coming from your contributions, because it's also on the expense side, the 70K. I see it's budgeted 70K on the income side, 70K on the expense side going into the reserves. So I believe that to be a pass-through. That's a placeholder we put there. The actual amount is, I believe, higher than that if you look at what's actually come in. So I believe that's part of the capital contribution income that comes in at closings.
No, the capital contribution goes directly, splitting the 3/4, 1/4. I'm talking about the condo income that we used to have in the old system, the certificates where the association got all the revenue, and now it's split 60/40. But like I said, I saw a previous FSR report that showed resale income, but then when you added all the figures for the revenue and compared it to what was on the financial report, the resale income was not on the report. Resale income, I should say, was not included as part of revenue.
Well, I'd have to look at it, but generally you can't, it's unanticipated income. You don't know what to
Right, but
budget
it's-
for,
it
right?
should still show those figures. I'm not talking about versus budget.
Okay.
I'm talking about the actual figure for resale income should be showing, if it's showing on the FSR report, that number should be shown on the monthly report that gets posted on NABA.
What, I don't understand. What FSR report are you referring to?
I got a report back in February from FSR, It shows everything. It shows the balance sheet, which is where you can also check to make sure that all the cash that shows on the FSR report for Concordia is equal to what shows on the cash and investments. It shows all the revenue lines, just like we used to show on tops and what FSR does. On the revenue line, there's a resale income line item. Budget is zero. I think the budget was zero, and it has an actual figure. But when you add up what's showing as revenue for that month, that should agree with what the revenue is on the monthly financial report that's put up on Neighbor. The difference was the resale income, which obvious, and if that's the case, the resale income that's showing on an FSR report is not shown in the Concordia report, at least for the month that I saw.
I'd have to dig in and take a look at that. Let me find out exactly what.
And then the last thing was, the reports are still showing incorrect opening balances. If you look at the sum of all the line items for the replacement fund, I know it's an insignificant number, it's off by $1, but they don't add up, and they should add up.
It's rounded. The two of them
It
are off
can't
by...
be rounded, because each line item is a set amount.
I did look at the numbers, and we had them... So the numbers that we were originally seeing were pre-audit numbers. I went back to our accounting department and had them do the journal entries required to get these accounts to match the audit, and they did. So if you look at your operating fund balance is now showing, it's different from July. It's now showing the correct post-audit dollar amount of $1,881,229.
I'll have to check that, because it still looked the same as what it was before.
No, July it was $1,881,104.
I'll recheck my figures then.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Marlene Zarnowski, 29 George Washington Drive. I'm a little raspy today, but I was watching at home, and then suddenly it cut out, so I thought, well, I might as well drop by and see if I can get an answer to my question, which is last year we had this wonderful trunk or treat we brought our grandchildren to, and I don't see it's being done this year. And why?
It is.
It is? Oh, good, then I'm glad I
Yes.
came. Because I didn't see it anywhere.
Sunday, October 27th?
27?
It's on a Sunday this year. Yes. and
Ah,
emails-
okay.
Yes.
I didn't
emails have
see it
gone out about
anywhere.
it.
Where was it listed? I'm just curious now, because I didn't see it.
It's 2 to 4 on that Sunday, the
Uh-huh.
27th.
The 27th. Is it listed someplace?
It went out on a couple emails. We're going to have like face painting, balloon
Yeah.
maker, the
Uh-huh.
trucks are coming.
The
It's-
food truck will be here, too.
Yeah, that was great. People decorating the trunks again?
Yes.
Oh, that was so much fun. I'm glad. Okay, well, I'll end on a good note then.
reminding us to say
Yes.
something.
Oh, yes, please, thank you. Okay, now where was the email? Was that on Neighbor, or
It was
was it
posted
on the
on Neighbor,
regular
yes.
channel? Yeah, I can't deal with that too well, so that's why I missed it. It's really prejudiced against us old folks who aren't good at that, so you might want to put it somewhere where old people can see it, like on the TV.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jack Steiner again. Just one more question. I'm going to put in an order to do my own bed servicing, and they're going to give me flags. And I was wondering, is there a better way to identify the houses? Because the white flags are, what do you got to have? 6 or 7 white flags in the bed?
We also provide them with an opt-out list, but we ask that you put the flags. It helps them as a visual cue for when they're going through, but the crew chief, gets it an actual database, Excel spreadsheet from us with the opt-out list that gets refreshed each season.
So But you think that it's probably still best to put the flags out because...
I would say yes.
And there's no other way that we can come up with this list?
You know, I would love to tell you that just having your address added to the opt-out list would be enough, but we've heard a couple of times where again, they move a little fast and they don't see flags till they're maybe in someone's flower bed, so that's why we suggest that they go there.
Okay, thanks.
No worries, thank you. Sir, when you put into, with concierge to pick up the flags, please, I'll note it, but please also have them take a note to give to me to make sure that I'm getting your address added to the list just the same. Right? I want to confirm that, and then I'll shoot you a note confirming that this is what you're seeking, just to make sure. I don't want to have, it's unfortunate enough if they've already removed the shrub. I certainly don't want anything else without your planning or approval happening there, so.
Okay, if there are no other questions, we will wrap this up and say goodnight.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.